the nerve fibers traveled all the way through the dermis from the subcutaneous fat layer up into the epidermis and coming as close as 20 to 40 micrometers from the skin surface, meaning that they were there. I mean, you can basically see them if you would look down with a magnifying eye into your skin. So they were in a perfect position to monitor, for instance, electromagnetic fields. And we published a paper in a journal called Cell and Tissue Research, and it was very well received because electrohypersensitivity, that was at that time a rather small question on the scientific horizon, but the general phenomenon of nerve fibers being so very superficial that really make people happy to learn about. And that has continuously been like a classical paper in the neurobiology and neurophysiology of the human skin. And to our enormous surprise, I must say, but at the same time, it was also findings that would, how should I say, explain electrohypersensitivity from a neurophysiological point of view. Because when we looked into the skin of electrohypersensitive people and we took facial skin biopsies, because most people, they had problems with facial skin in front of visual display terminals when they worked with computers, and later on in the 90s, of course, with cell phones and other gadgets. And then when we looked in the microscope, it turned out that these PGP 9.5, protein gene product 9.5 positive nerve fibers, they were practically gone. It was like a mad gardener had pruned all the bushes down to the floor, you know. There were single short nerve fibers entering, and they looked very odd actually, entering the epidermis, and a few ones in the dermis. And there is a general theme in neurophysiology that, and you can compare that like to workers in a factory. If you lay off 99% of the workers, then the remaining percent, they have to work very hard to keep up the production. And that's the same for nerve fibers. If they become very, very few, then each nerve fiber becomes what is called supersensitive or hypersensitive. And then you can just add electrohypersensitive. And that could be the simple explanation that with a normal big number of nerve fibers, like I have, then you don't feel the surrounding electromagnetic field exposures. But for some reason, and we don't know if this is a primary alteration before you become electrohypersensitive, or if it's secondary in the sense that maybe the nerve fibers are harmed by the electromagnetic fields. We don't know that. But nevertheless, with such few nerve fibers, they would become, I think in English you would say, very edgy. They would react quickly because they have, and that would be the underlying basis, perhaps, for reacting to the surrounding ambient electromagnetic field exposure.
Can I ask you a question?
Sorry?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So Magda Havas is doing a lot of work on MS patients, multiple sclerosis and EMF, and she's shown how clients improve radically in a few weeks if they reduce their EMF exposure. Do you think there might be a relation between that and this particular research you've done?
Yes, together with Mary Redmayne in Australia, we did some preliminary work just thinking about generating hypotheses. So I would agree with you and say, yes, that could be a possibility, definitely. And of course, one needs to look more in detail into it. And I hope people will do, because also there, the question is, from an incidence point of view, are there more and more MS patients around the world? Or are we just better in detecting the ones that have already been there? And that we don't know today. So that would be a very interesting study.